on top. Yeah, we keeping it smooth. Your favorite paralegal got the legal groove. From the stars in the courtroom to your cousin's case, we breaking it all down. No rush, just pace.
All right, what's good, my people? What's good, my people? We got motion. This is what I am used to. So now I'm streaming on YouTube and Facebook. I use Restream, so it just makes it so much easier. But I need to I need to learn how to do it really on mobile because I need to learn how to do it on mobile because if I'm on the go because phone and stream like I do, but it's hard. So it's easier for me to just go through YouTube on my phone, Restream, because Restream doesn't even have an app. What's good, my peoples? All right, so we're getting back into it. So hopefully this will reach out to the in order for it to do that, please guys hype this video. Everybody who was on the other live can come over here. It's going up now, so we shall see. We shall see. Hold on. I had to turn my fan. Okay. All right. Smash them lights once again. Thank y'all for tapping in. Thank y'all for tapping in. Did I bring my? You know what? So now I think I can show y'all that the reply that the state did on here too. Oh, wait, what happened? Oh, yeah, we don't know. We don't want to offend I love everybody. I love everybody. I'm telling y'all that right now. I love everybody. My in-laws is, a different culture. So I love everybody. I love everybody. So just be mindful of my because I have all types of followers. The only followers I don't I do, I have the haters. I have the racist folks though. Oh, where were you at earlier? Yeah, okay. So the question is what was my opinion? I'm gonna put it up here. What was my opinion in regards to Carmelo's text messages? I'm going to say this, okay? And I stated this. I don't know if you follow me on Facebook, but I did make a post also on YouTube. Am I disappointed? Yeah, but at the end of the day, and I'm just gonna say I can't speak for everybody's children, right? How I raise my kids, I used to do random phone checks. My youngest child is 13. Oldest is 12, 18-year old, right? But when they were teenagers, I used to do random phone checks. And I used to see like what are you looking at on your phone? Because you need to be mindful of what you're consuming. Now, I'm not saying that, that family didn't implement these things. I'm just telling you guys my experience as a mother. I did phone checks because I the internet can have people in a chokehold. Okay. When they discussed text messages, was I surprised? Yes, I was surprised, even as a mother. However, I'm telling y'all, my kids watch fight videos. My kids watch some dumbass shit. Okay, I'm just going to be honest. Now, do they speak that way? No. Now I'm gonna tell y'all, we do jokey joke around here. Like, I'm a strict mother, but I'll never be their friend. But we jokey jokes, and we make some jokey jokes that I ain't gonna say on here. Not racial things or anything, but how can I explain? I'm not saying that it is right or it is okay, but some things can be taken out of context. As I explained to my kids, what we do in this household, you don't take it outside. Okay, we could jokey joke with each other, but beyond these doors, don't we don't do that. Be mindful of what you text. Be mindful of those text messages because they already know. I told my kids from a young age. Let me tell you something. Yes, I work in the legal field. I am a paralegal. I am the one that can read to subpoena records. So if any in the event anything happens and somebody has to take your phone, whatever you have said, whatever pictures you have taken, whatever things you have put out on social media and you thought that you have erased will never be erased. I think I scared the hell out of my children, to be honest. To honestly be honest. So when I do random checks, I don't find shit. I don't find shit, right? But to see nephew saying that, it hurts. It sucks. But I said this at the beginning, you guys have to understand the reason why they did that. Russell was not bringing up Austin's stuff just for no reason. Worski and Dewey Mitchell wasn't bringing up Melo's stuff for no reason. The whole purpose of this was to show us why they did not release this information, why they did not file that 404B statement with the extraneous activities for Karmelo, why that motion of limine that went over the Metcalf's bad acts wasn't filed with the court. That because they're saying if they would have filed these, then people like myself can call Collin County and say, hey, I want a copy of that 404B. I want a copy of that motion of limine. And then all of this stuff would have got out, right? And then next thing you know, a hearing is scheduled for this motion of limine and to discuss this 404B. And then you have people coming to the courthouse be like, so they said the whole purpose was they didn't put these things out because of security threat. And Worski even brought up Jake Lang. Like, who gives a fuck about him? But that's only one person that you arrested. That's one person that you arrested. Now, this is crazy. I'm going to tell y'all this. Toby Shook is now on Yellow Beezy's case. The case starts on Monday. I don't even know I have the willpower to even go the trial. But Yellow Beezy's case, that is a high profile case, y'all. That is a high profile case. I know I'm kind of deviating away from, hold up, and I'm going to show y'all. Now, if y'all know who Yellow Beezy is, right? He's a rapper. They arrested him for capital murder for hire charges for the death of Mo 3 out here in Dallas. So that is a high profile case, right? And I have gone through the motion of limines. I have gone through the 404Bs. And do you know how many people out here that are pissed off that Mo 3 is gone? But yet, guess what's on the docket? Guess what's on the docket? Hold on, let me share my screen. Then I got to get back to the whatchamacallit. So it's just like, and Worski made the comment, like, okay, this is something that we do. It shouldn't be something that you do in Texas because Collin County possibly. But I've never seen a such where you are not showing or you're not filing pretrial documents. I have been following this Yellow Beezy case, and he has been to several pretrial hearings. I'm so lost. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? I'm gonna show y'all so y'all can see. I want y'all to see the difference between Karmelo's case, which is national, and hell, they even talked about Mo 3. That's national attention too. I ain't even gonna lie. I'm not even gonna lie. Make sure my camera off. Wait, did I spell his name wrong? I did. Marquise. I'm on my other screen, so I can't see the comments. Bam. Let me go back to the comments. No. I know for a fact they didn't do it for no darn security reasons. That's their excuse because they think people like here's my say about this. You say it was for security reasons, right? You said the Anthony family had threats, the Metcalfs had threats, Judge Tucker had threats, you had threats, Mike Howard had threats. All of these things, was it documented? Just like Russell was asking, was any of this documented? That's like you going into a courtroom with no evidence. You have to have tangible evidence. Where is the complaints? Where are the incident reports? That's crazy. But this is Yellow Beezy's this is his docket. And I ain't about to do all this. Limine. Y'all see this? Motion of limine. Filed October 21st, 2025. Disclosures of experts. Motion of limine. Y'all see this subpoena? Okay, we've seen that. States notice it, or we've seen that on his document. Okay, on his docket, on Karmelo's docket. Let me see if they named it 404. Yep. Look. Are y'all looking at this? Y'all see this? And Toby Shook is on this case. But because of that stupid ass agreement, this is where we're at. Y'all know I'm gonna do y'all a solid. And we're gonna pull up. Is that the last motion in limine that was filed? Oh, it really don't matter. Oh my God, I got to go through all of this. Download, save, yes. Let's go here. Let's add a screen. Oh shit. Let me pull this up. Oh my gosh, I'm up now. Now I want some Starbucks, and freaking Starbucks is closed. And I'm too lazy to get up out the bed to go make coffee, but then I don't want coffee because I feel like I'm not going to go to sleep. All right. I got that up. Let's add another screen on. Window. Bam. Bam. Now, I think if some people were in the courtroom, the actual courtroom, so they were able to see, the exhibits and stuff that was on Melo's case. But you see this is statements to defendant, Conway's amended motion in limine regarding Rule 404B2, evidence of alleged crime. You see this? This is this right here. Now, look at this. Interviews, Instagram posts. Y'all see this? Y'all see this? And y'all see how it is available on the docket, right? Now, Dallas County, we could pull this shit for free. Collin County, you got to pay for it. So are y'all seeing this? Now, this is just a state reply to a motion in limine. But look at this. So every wrong doing related to Yellow Beezy is in this document. Now, this is just a state's reply, but it's neither here nor there. But I just want to show you guys that I easily went on to Dallas County website, and I pulled this docket. I pulled it. I pulled it. So my question is, and think about, this is a capital murder case. If y'all don't know, people ride out here for Mo 3. People ride out here for Mo 3. I got friends out here that they don't play about Mo 3. Okay? Don't nobody want I ain't gonna say what I'm gonna say, but people are out here, they want Yellow Beezy, bro. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. They want Yellow Beezy head for what happened to Mo 3. They truly believe that Yellow Beezy had a part of this. This is a high profile case. Y'all see how the motion in limine is on. Y'all see how this 404B showing everything involving Yellow Beezy, all of his criminal history, all of his text messages, all of his social media posts, all of his interviews are available for everybody to read. And here it is on the court. So what makes this case different than Karmelo Anthony's case, besides it being in different counties? You cannot sit here and use an excuse. And I understand, okay, yes, there are minors involved. There are minor witnesses involved. But guess what we have? What is called? You can seal a record to where I won't be able to go on here and get it. You can file a protective order to hide some things from the docket. And literally, I don't, oh my God, I can't even think of a case on the top of my head. And I want to say, early on, I think a protective order was filed at a point. Was it? Dang. I think this is a motion to seal. So y'all see where it says notices of let me switch gears right here. I'm trying to if you don't switch boxes. Okay. So y'all see this? So on July 8th, notice of extraneous offenses. Notice of extraneous offenses. Then they had a motion to seal. I wish it don't go to it's gonna download. But I ain't even gonna do it because I already know what it says. But that motion was to seal that notice showing all of the extraneous offenses. Did y'all know that? This is on Yellow Beezy's case. Yes, a motion in limine is a pretrial request asking the judge to decide whether evidence or arguments should be shown. Correct. But y'all see how they filed the notice of extraneous offenses, then they filed a motion because they did not want people to look. Hello, Five Survive. They didn't want people to have access to everything that Yellow Beezy did. And yet here we are. And I think that motion was denied, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was denied. Let me see. Motion is still motion. Okay, so they did a motion to so all of the exhibits. So it wasn't the actual notice. It was to seal the exhibits pertaining to defendant Conway's amended motion in limine. I wonder if they granted that. Well, it says order seal, so I think they did. But that's neither here nor there. I just want to show y'all what they could have done. So the excuse is a bunch of bullshit. Yep. But that's the thing. That's the thing that I'm trying to get people to understand. So that motion of limine, that motion is supposed to be heard. They go before the court. And they say, hey, it's like you're presenting your evidence and y'all are arguing what y'all pretty much gonna show the jury. What's gonna come out, what comes out, what stays in. They didn't do that. They didn't do that. They didn't do that at all. All right, let me take Yellow Beezy off. But I just want to show y'all what a criminal docket looks like, at least in Dallas County, because that shit's open for the public and everybody can I don't know why I put hide, but everybody could review that. So that goes back to like, okay, we got to find another excuse. All right, so going back to Worski. Now, I swear this was where everybody was pissed because, like, dude, what the fuck are you going on and on and on about? How is this relevant? And I'm going to tell y'all up front before I get to it. So when Mitchell was questioning Worski about what we're about to talk about, they were trying to show the court as to why Roach implemented things the way he did. Yeah, and I agree. I truly agree. Like, Texas is big enough to have everybody as a star. But I was just, man, I don't even know what to even say about that. But you know, I do hope that Mo3 gets justice. I really pray that Mo3 gets justice. Okay, I want to be, because I do have people on Facebook on here as well, so I want everybody to be able to see. And let me take this damn whatchamacallit. Y'all, I just be all over the place. Hell, my ass wide awake now. I hate when my screen be doing this. Where's my display thing? Nope. Nope. Oh, here we go. Cause I like to put my logo on. I'm just gonna hide it, cause so y'all can see the comments good. All right, cool. Cool. We in there. We got action. Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing this too. Close this. All right, so we on the Papa laptop charge. All right, let me get back to the chat. All right, cool. All right, thank y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. Okay, thank y'all for tuning in. I saw my little thing just kind of freeze. Yeah, y'all hit them likes. All right. So, like I said before, this is the part where Worski was putting everybody to sleep. But the purpose of Dewey going over this was to show the court as to why Roach did the way he did, why the prosecution acted in the way that they did when it comes to not putting stuff on the docket, blase, right? So Worski gets questioned. Dewey pretty much asking him, you know, what other high profile cases has Worski you know, was involved in over, you know, his career as an attorney or as a lawyer or as a prosecutor. And I had to look this up because I don't know if I was like in college in Arkansas or I just really didn't pay attention to this. But he talked about the Texas 7, which was a big high profile case. Several people from a prison broke out, and there was a big manhunt, and I think they either found the people in Colorado. I forgot what state it was. But he said that high profile case, I think they said they only found, I forgot, 7. Was it all 7 that they found? They found 6 at first. Well, whatever the case may be, right? He said that was a high profile case that he worked on. And he stated that he found himself in a high level threat environment. He said because of the nature of that case, the courtroom was on lockdown because of, you know, you got prisoners who escaped the prison. So they so they locked this place down. They locked the courtroom down. That's what he said. I got to go do my research on that because I'm very interested in this case, knowing that he was part of that. Now there was another big one, and this is where Judge Chitty come in at. And I remember reading this because I was trying to figure out what the connection between Worski and Toby Shook was, and I found that they worked together on the case. So Worski also mentioned that there was a prosecutor who was unalived in Kaufman County in 2013, and because the county did not have a prosecutor, because obviously that their main prosecutor lost his life. Worski came in as like how can I say, like a guest prosecutor or interim prosecutor, and he pretty much brought Shook with him, as you know, so both of them can be guest prosecutors. So they did go before Judge Chitty briefly, because the case ended, they filed a change of venue, and the venue ended up going from Kaufman County to Walkwall County out here. And he stated that that was the first time he had to monitor the threat environment because of the reports. Now, mind you, this is 2013. All right. So social media wasn't as heavy as it was or is now. So really the threats would come from, or the threats I would say would be revealed through news sources. Okay, like if breaking news on, we got what, Fox 4 News out here, NBC 5, so CBS 11. So they would have to rely on the news reports to see the level of threats. And he's saying that was the first time they actually had to monitor the threat level because of the events surrounding this case. A prosecutor got unalived. Hello, Real B. Everybody who came in, thank y'all for joining. Definitely hit that like button. Okay. So this goes on and on and on and on until Russell objected, and he said, in simple terms, y'all, he said, "What's the relevance of all this? I mean, are we going? What are you trying to do?" Pretty much. And Worski said pretty much they wanted to paint the picture for the court to show why Judge Roach set up his court the way he did, why he did the things that he did. Once again, Chitty objected. Oh, well, I don't want to say Chitty objected. He overruled. He allowed it to keep going on. All right. Now, Worski. Dewey asked Worski, when did he hear about this incident, the Austin Metcalf Karmelo incident? And he said he heard it later on that day after he saw the news. And he said he described when he saw on the news, he saw a picture of Austin Metcalf, who was white, Carmelo Anthony, and he said he knew instantly when they put those two pictures up there side by side. He said he knew right then and there that it was going to be a racially charged case. What you always say that we're going to start a GoFundMe to send you to law school. You're such a thorough professional. You should have a license. Oh my gosh. Look, let me tell y'all something. Now, being a trial lawyer, that's a whole different ball game. I don't know, but I am considering going to law school. My goal was to have all of my kids out of the house. But my older two are in college, and I have my little 8th grader right here. And law school only takes 4 years. So I am considering going, and I'm actually going to, just know I'm considering going. I ain't going to tell y'all my plans just yet, but I'm just going to pray on it. We're going to see where God leads me, right? All right. But thank you. Hey, it would be very much appreciated. All right. So so Worski, he said, yeah, I already knew when I watched the news and they put those pictures side by side. I already knew the type of case that this was going to be. That was crazy. Let me see. Dewey then asked something about did they have any meetings to discuss how they were going to handle, this case? And Worski did confirm that, they did have a meeting with the parties on how they were going to do their filings in this particular case. And he stated that the agreement, that both sides made an agreement to keep a paper file. So a folder that had all of the filings that were tendered and filed. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, and y'all, I want to tell y'all something funny. So I was sitting. So I don't know if everybody seen that clip where it was a Fox 4 news reporter that was talking or reporting. And no, it wasn't Fox 4. I think was it Fox 4 or just Fox? I can't remember. I think it was just Fox because I don't like Fox. Now Fox 4 News, I like them, but Fox, I don't like them. But the black dude that was back to talk about child line and all this other stuff, I had the opportunity to sit by him today in that overflow room where I was like, that was you. I said, boy, you is famous. So I just wanted to tell y'all that. But yeah, so he was the one who pointed that out. He was like Judge Roach, he over here lurking. And he was like, everybody tell Judge Roach hi, and everybody just raved. I was like, y'all are crazy. And I was like, I wonder if they're gonna call Judge Roach to testify. You know, he ain't no longer on this case, but that neither here nor there. But yeah, he when some there was, now I'm gonna tell y'all, in that overflow room, that shit kept going out. It kept going out. And they keep having to refresh it. So the last time it didn't go out, but it minimized to where we saw him coming to the Zoom, and we was like, "That's Judge Roach, boy." I was cracking up. I was cracking up. Someone said we need more blacks in this field. My granddaughter is becoming. Yes, y'all. You know, and I'm sorry I keep going because I do want to finish this. But a lot of people ask me, you know, I am a paralegal by choice. Okay, don't get it twisted. Now, there's a lot of people that are, you know, that come on my Facebook and they be like, well, you're only a paralegal, and they don't understand what a paralegal actually does. I'm not a legal assistant. I'm not a legal secretary. I'm drafting documents. I'm reading upon the laws. I'm checking local rules. You know, it's not easy drafting these documents. Okay, you still, because the attorneys rely on us. They don't have time because they're litigating cases, they're in trial, they're in hearings, they're in depositions. They don't have time to sit there and be drafting these documents. And one attorney, the best attorney, they taught me, they's like, look, the only thing that I should be able to do is sign my name and you file it. Ever since then, that's why I call myself, I'm not tooting my own horn, your favorite paralegal, is because that is what I am known for. That one attorney has instilled in me. She's like, the only thing I should be able to do is sign my name. That means that attorney is putting trust in their paralegal that the documents that are drafted is just like they sat down and they drafted it themselves. Now, I can't speak for any other paralegal. I can only speak for myself. That is how I was taught. When I graduated from college, I did have an opportunity to go to law school. But I also was married with a husband about to be stationed in Iraq. So I had to put off my dreams of going to Pennsylvania to attend law school because he was going to Iraq. I was not going to Pennsylvania by myself. I wanted to stay by my sisters because I don't know if y'all know my story about, you know, my mom and them, but I had to stay near my sisters. So I'm a paralegal by choice. And I was like, okay, well, we're going to put off law school and I'm going to do my passion. So I got my MBA. Later on, I got my master's in teaching because teaching is my passion. That's why I feel so comfortable coming on here teaching you guys about the law. But don't ever get it twisted. Don't ever get it twisted. All right. So going back to this. So they agreed to keep a paper file. Now these are the words of Worski. All right. Dewey is questioning Worski. Worski answers Dewey's question on who came up with the idea to keep a paper file, or, you know, and keep certain files such as, the bad acts and the extraneous offenses. Who came up with, because we have these documents, we shouldn't, file them on, give them to the court clerk and get them court stamped or file stamped, we say. Whose idea was it to keep these documents in a file, in a file that's kept in the judge's chambers? And I don't know if Worski didn't understand what he was saying or asking, but he said the state, and then he said the state and the defense. And then Dewey kind of like, I don't know, I think that threw him off guard. And then he went on to kind of correct himself, and he said, well, it was the defense first because, they got all the da-da-da-da-da, and then, the state kind of followed but behind them. I was like, wait, what? So, Worski, you just said that it was the state's idea to keep a paper file, to keep, the extraneous offenses and bag, aka the 404B and the motion of limine, to keep them in the chambers. But then you had to make it say, make it good and say, okay, and also the defense. But then you said that it was the defense first and then the state followed. I caught on to that. So it was the state's idea. It was the state's idea. And unfortunately, the defense followed. Unfortunately. And then he's going to make a comment, and I guess he was trying to make it seem like, okay, and I'm gonna tell you why it was the defense idea. He said even Mike Howard volunteered to draft a protective order. That's what he said. So first, Dewey asked you whose idea it was to pretty much hide these documents. You said the state, but then you go and say the defense as well, but then claim that it was the defense who mentioned it first and y'all just followed, and you trying to make sure that people know that, okay, yeah, because, Mike Howard said he would even draft a protective order for this, and I think he drafted one. So, yeah, it was definitely the defense who came up with that idea. You're full of bullshit. You're full of bullshit. I caught on to that lie, you snake. Now, interesting, Worski said that there were several, well, he said a few pretrial hearings. Now, we didn't see this because it wasn't on the record. There's nothing on the docket. Okay. In those pretrial now, there's a difference between a pretrial hearing and a pretrial meeting. He said, well, in a sense, but at the pretrial meetings, hearings, whatever you want to say, that wasn't on the record, he said that they talked about security issues. They talked about, trial updates, trying to come up with trial dates. They talked about how things should be announced. None of that was on the docket. No hearings was ever docketed. And he's saying that none of these things was docketed because of the threats. And he kept saying, we only did this because we wanted to keep Karmelo safe. Let me see. How come no one is talking about the romance theory between the brothers? Honestly, because for one, how can I say this? And I'm not saying that this is not an issue, but I am saying the motion for new trial is arguing that Karmelo's rights were violated. the three things Russell talked about was, the jury instruction, the shadow docket, and the the off the record conversations and things of that nature, and the provocation. Okay. He also talked a little bit about the jury, whatchamacallit. Uh, the biggest argument was the off the record stuff. Okay. And so in that, if we kind of zoom in, we really can't talk about their relationship. Their relationship really didn't have anything to do with it. The issue is, and Shook and Worski, Shook really confirmed a lot of stuff. He was just saying that they had an agreement. I mean, it doesn't matter what their relationship was. I mean, it does, but it really doesn't, because Shook even said on, when he testified today, that it was their understanding that Melo was going to testify at the end of the day. That was the agreement. They wouldn't have known that the agreement was breached until somebody say, "Hey, you're about to breach the agreement," or you are about, you've breached the agreement. And when Worski did come and say, "Hey, y'all breached it," then it's just like, okay, it's a little bit too late. So we can't dwell on something that does not have a significant relevance on it. We have to stick to we have to stick with the biggest argument. Okay, we can't say, okay, well, they have a relationship, because all attorneys have relationships. Okay, it is up to those two whether or not, like I said, you could be best friends. I'm a plaintiff side paralegal. My best friend, my other best friend, she works on the defense side. Okay. But if we go into the courtroom assisting our attorneys in the case, gloves off. Gloves off. Somebody said, I just hope what? Now, I don't know if you a troll, but if you are, you about to get your ass up out of here. Oh, I'm about to say, I hope. Okay. I was like, I don't know, because I was about to say, hold on now. The brothers were racist and have very. Oh, you talking about those? Okay. Now, but that didn't. Okay. So I thought you were talking about Worski and whatchamacallit. Now, even going to the brothers, right? Even though we heard these things that come out, we still have to look at the bigger picture. The issue, yet now, if we have a new trial, right? Trust me, all that stuff is going to come up again. Okay, we're just going to talk about it. And so now, if you talk about the romance, I hope you saying, I don't know. One thing I don't do in this channel is I don't speculate. Okay, I'm very facts based. I give y'all what I personally see and what I personally read. So I can't speak on anything outside of that. Okay. Now, it did come out in court that the brothers were racist, right? As far as their relationship, they're twins. You know what I'm saying? If that's who you're speaking on, they are twins. But at the end of the day, that has nothing to do with Karmelo's rights. You know what I'm saying? But the state is trying to make it like, because of all of these things that they have discovered, that came out during discovery, they wanted to keep both parties safe, and therefore that's why they did not file these documents. They did not have pretrial hearings. We got to stay focused on the reason as to, yes, they said these things, but they're showing us as to why these things was never on the record or available to the public. And I hope that answers your question. Thank you, Jimmy. Good old boys trial versus a trial under Texas. Boy, Oh, yeah. I was like, hold up, like, we ain't gonna do that instance. Let me tell y'all something on this particular channel, baby. Let me tell you something. I do not do any speculations, and y'all know me. So, just forgive me if I see your question. I might go off on you in a little bit. You know what I'm saying? But that's one thing that I do not do. Um, what are your thoughts on Dream Team not file of ineffective assistance? Well, okay, we have to understand that there's two things that are going on to play. They are right now they're focusing on, not saying that that's not an issue, but maybe that may come up in the appellate side if that's the route that we have to go. Now, when this thing do that, okay. Um, right now we have to focus on what the greatest arguments are. Not saying ineffective assistance is not an issue. It's just saying we have to go after the bigger arguments, which is the public access. Like they're not, and once again, it's not taken away from that. But just like Russell quoted or cited in the motion for new trial, there have been there's one Supreme Court case, Texas, I should say, criminal court case, as well as two other Court of Appeals case that were overturned for the reason as far as open court and so on and so forth. Wait, who's trolling? Oh, okay. Oh, it's okay. We about to get them out. We about to get them out. All right. So they about to be, I think they gone. I might have to, let me see. Okay. I think I got rid of them. That's what happens when, let me see. Now my, whatchamacallit. Hold up. Now I can't see my comments. Hold up. Let me see. Hold on. Everybody stay right there. Let me log on to my YouTube studio. I know my mod is probably asleep. Somebody type oh, there it go. There it go. Okay. Okay, and who is this? I like they said they trolling you. Baby, I don't even be paying attention. Okay, good. Cause I wasn't seeing y'all stuff in the hold on, cause I need to go into my YouTube studio and I need to block. Wait, all of y'all, are y'all subscribers? Cause sometimes I'll turn on my subscribers thing as well. Cause I hate, this is what happens when you gotta do everything yourself. Hold up. Advanced settings, permissions. Oh, community moderation. Okay, there we go. Oh, wait. Approved users. Oh, I got a lot of oh, yep. It blocked that person. It blocked that person. Okay. Ooh, y'all know what? Hold up. I'm gonna do something because I got some loyal people up in here, and I'm slow because I don't want to stop and do this. So hold on, let me go into. I'm about to go into YouTube, and I'm about to make some of y'all some moderators. All right, I had to put myself on mute because I was on the whatchamacallit. Who is Yeah, y'all. I can't block all of them. Okay, so Jimmy, thank you, Kenny, for the whatchamacallit. All right, so my late night people, um add as moderator. Command block words change. Okay. All right, I'm coming. I'm about to. Yep, I got you, bro. Adding a few moderators. Okay, and who else? Oh, I have mods, but I do have mods. Now, if they in here, I don't see them because usually they be telling y'all to like the video and stuff like that, so they probably sleep. Who else did I? Okay. All right. Okay. And let me see, who is this? All right. So, okay, that person. Blah 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 blah. Okay. Who? All right. So I think you should have gotten the whatchamacallit. All right. So the people. All right. I'm adding about another mod too. So that way, all right. So I should have some mods up in here. So we good now. We good. And I'm gonna add you. All right. And as far as my mods, it's one thing to have an opinion. I don't mind people having an opinion, but when they start trolling and stuff like that, definitely get their ass out of here. Okay. There we go. All righty. Now, let me get off of this and go back over here. All right. All right. Now I don't know how to do no moderation on no Facebook, so I'll take that. All right, guys. So we good. We good. We good. All right, let's get back into this. Lord, it is 12:08, but I think I was asleep for like 2 hours, baby. Okay, where we left off. Okay, so we was talking about how Worski stated that there were a few pre-trial meetings. They talked about security. They talked about trial updates. They talk about the announcements of these pre-trial meetings, and he confirmed that they weren't docketed. He confirmed that there were no set hearings because they had threats, and his main goal was to keep Karmelo safe. And throughout the last few days of these hearings, that is all I have heard from Worski. And he makes it sound good, but if you understand who Worski is, you will know that he's a crock of horse shit. You want the public to believe that your concern was the safety of Karmelo, the safety for the Anthonys. And I think he's trying to convince the people, us, that he's not a bad guy. Look, I'm trying to keep Karmelo safe. And that's all he used throughout all the, like, I was so sick of hearing it because you are a fucking lie. You know damn well that was not your intentions, but whatever. So during one of those meetings, Judge Roach set the trial for June 1st. Worski did say, they wanted to set a trial during the time where, kids weren't in school and those that have already graduated and was in college, they were off break. He wanted, because remember, these witnesses were minors. What else did he say about that? And then one thing that was kind of disturbing, he said, he also wanted to be mindful of the Metcalf schedules because I guess they were having some events for Austin and he didn't want to set trial during that time. So I'm just like, okay. They also discussed that this was going to be a high profile case that would generate a very high jury pool. And so they did consider, having jury selections in voir dire and the central jury room, which is, has a very large capacity where they can hold everybody in. But remember, the day before where I was saying, Jackson's the previous public information officer was talking about, how Judge Roach didn't anticipate having an overflow room after, or during the trial. He only wanted to have a overflow room for jury selection. So it's just kind of crazy, man. But they did talk about all of that stuff in one of those pretrial setting hearings. Um, Now going into that, they, in order for the state to ensure that they complied with the Waller factors, they brought in Miss Lisa Braxton, and she is the one who sent the email to Mike Howard. Let me go check my notes. On May 26th, I believe. Where did that go? Yes, May 26th. And she sent over proposed, filings and giving Mike Howard the opportunity to look at what so pretty much her job was to ensure that the Waller factors were met. Okay. Now she talked about limited public access, the pretrial closures, stating that the trial was going to be conducted in two rooms, the central jury room for jury selections and voir dire, and then the 296 court, and stated that, if the courtroom reached capacity, that they will feed into another room, but it'll be closed circuit where the live feed won't be available to the public, all of that other stuff. So they hired her to ensure, and I'm throwing up quotations, right, that they complied with Waller. That's why they hired her. Okay. So remember that. Um She confirmed pretty much that the Waller factors complied. Worski said that the defense agreed. Nobody said, nobody questioned, I'm going to say, about the overflow room. Like, okay, what if the 296, like, are y'all going to have an overflow room after jury selection? Da, 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 da. He said nobody brought up that question. Therefore, the defense even agreed with, with Miss Braxton. And I was like, y'all a bunch of horse crock shit. um, Once again, Worski out of his own mouth confirmed that there were no hearings because of the agreement, that gentleman's agreement. They both agreed that they are going to keep the bad acts and extraneous acts off the record per the gentleman's agreement. So there was no need to have a pre-trial hearing. Yes, and at this point, yeah, definitely y'all make sure y'all hit that like button. I'm not on my phone, so I can't see how many likes, but get them likes up. Yeah, they really thought they can make up their own rules. Uh-huh. They were too busy making. Yeah, they were. Now, I wouldn't say side deals. Now that I understand this agreement, and here's why. The only agreement was to not go into character evidence based on the evidence that both sides received. The defense did not want the text messages, the school records, the photos of Karmelo getting out. The prosecution did not want the Metcalf's long, voluminous ass history to get out. That was the agreement. There's no others. I don't think there were any side deals based off of what I have learned in the past 3 days. I don't think there were no side deals. It was just the fact that they did not want to bring up anything that they have discovered. They only wanted to talk about what happened under the tent. So the Waller factor is a legal standard that the courtroom, the judges have to follow to ensure that the defendant gets a fair, open trial. They have to ensure, and I went over this. Hold on, let me see. Did I had a PowerPoint because I briefly went over this a few times. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. I gotta find it. And just so you know, when we say Waller factors, it comes from it was a Supreme Court case, 1984, right? And as I said it before, this is the biggest argument in this motion, is that Karmelo's Sixth Amendment right to a public trial that was violated because they suppressed pretrial hearings. They suppressed pretrial documents. Okay, so the Waller factor is four tests that they have to, or four factors they have to. Excuse me, I just burped. I'm so sorry. 4 factors. All right, overriding interest, narrow tailoring, reasonable alternatives, adequate findings. The biggest thing is, for example, they had the overflow room, right, for jury selection and voir dire. They made it available. Then after that happened, they took it away. Okay. Now, 2 things they did not do. No, well, I'm gonna take that back. One of the factors is reasonable alternatives. Okay. So the court has to consider reasonable alternatives to closing the proceeding before, enacting the closure. So we already see the alternative. If people go to the 296, right, and there wasn't enough seats, do you have an overflow room? Okay. He can't say he did. Well, obviously, they said that there was no overflow room. Well, how can you say there's no overflow room when you had an overflow room during jury selection and voir dire, right? So that's the alternative. The alternative is, if people can't get into the 296, they can go into the overflow room. Now, so that's the reasonable alternative. We already know what the alternative was, the overflow room. I'm going to keep saying that, okay? Now, the other factor, one of the other 4 factors is adequate findings. So you have to make a specific finding on the record to support why you closed it. So Judge Roach never went on record to say why he took the overflow room away. On top of everything else that he did with the courthouse. But that's one of the examples that I'm giving you as far as the Waller factor goes. Okay, so there's 4 factors: overriding interest, narrow tailoring, reasonable alternatives, and the adequate findings. Now, to kind of elaborate more on that, so after you don't make a record of it, because Russell made a very, very simple thing that you can remember when it comes to the Waller factors. Let the record show. So does the record show why the overflow room was taken away, was offered and then taken away? There's nothing on record. There's nothing on record. And then to even back this up, in Judge Roach's interview, he said, well, I could have had audio in an overflow room so people can hear, but he didn't want people to twist the words. That was his reasoning in a post-trial interview as to why he did not have an overflow room. That does not support your adequate findings, because people would make comments based off of what they heard. That's crazy. That's why things have to be on there. Let me put this right here. This right here. Yeah, shut the whole courthouse down. So this is why they went on record about these hearings. Bingo. That's exactly why. Now you want to play by the book. Now you want to post transcripts on the website. Now you want to post media access and supplemental orders and all this other stuff on the on the website. Now you want to be transparent. Where was all of that during the trial? So make it make sense. And you said, so basically Judge Roach denied the public access to the case by removing the overflow room, which needed to be documented. But there you go. That's it. That's it. Karmelo wasn't present for any of those. No, he wasn't. But you know what Worski said? He said he didn't need to be present because he was worried about Karmelo's safety, and he did not want to have him come up here and da 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 da. That's exactly what he didn't say the da 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 part, but he said he was concerned about Karmelo's safety. So he relied on the defense going back to ensure that they were informing him of everything that was being said off the record. That mofo really is a road. She showed up today to intimidate. Oh, boy, when old boy in that room, he says, everybody say hi to Judge Roach. If we was like, hey, how you doing? But yeah, so if y'all notice, Russell Wilson is very strategic. That is why he had the public information officer yesterday. Russell Wilson had Russell Schaefer go on record yesterday as to why the overflow room was not available. So on the and they need this. So if we do go the appellate route, all of this is in the record, because when they do their briefs, and we're gonna, oh my gosh, this is a lot. It's a lot going on. It's a lot going on. But if we have to go through the appeal route, y'all definitely make sure y'all stay tuned in, because I'm gonna make sure I break that thing down so y'all can actually understand what we're doing. But everything that they're doing now has to be documented, either by filing. Also, and I want y'all to understand this. Well, if and when we have to go through the appeal route, in order for the appellate team to write a appeals brief. The brief is pretty much saying the issues that they have with the lower court. What errors took place in the lower court? What procedures did they did? So those are the issues. So in order for them to figure out what happened, they have to look on the docket of everything that was filed. They also have to look at the court reporter transcript, everything that was said. So everything that was typed up and filed, that's on the court docket. Everything that was said on the record is in the court reporter transcript. Those two things give you a not a general idea, it gives you an idea of how the process went from the time the case was in that indictment was filed to the day that the verdict was rendered. And well, now we have post-trial filings, right? So from this hearing, from everything that was filed, post-trial, all of that is now included on the court docket as well as the court reporter record. So once this concludes, however it concludes, and if it gets denied, then we're going to appeals route. The last thing that was done in this case, in this trial court, has to be docketed, and it also has to be on the record. Those records then go to the appeals court, and then they are dispersed to the appeals team, the appellate team, and Russell and them will go through all of those transcripts, all of those documents that were filed, and they will take things that happen in order to back up why they feel like the court ruled in error on this, or why they feel that there was a structure error in that, whatever the case may be. Okay, so that's why it is important for everything to go in the record. Russell even said, I don't want to say that they struggled to write the motion for a new trial, but they had to wing it because they had no partial transcripts. I mean, they had no transcripts. They didn't even have the file. Worski made comments talking about, you can, if you came up here and asked for the file, you can get the file. No, you couldn't, because Russell did twice. He tried to get this file and it was not available. After emails, Judge Roach finally released partial transcripts, but that was after he wrote the motion for new trial. Do I think? Yes. However this turns out, especially if it goes through appeals, the appeals route, and let's say that the Fifth Court of Appeals overturns this and sends it back to, the trial court for a new trial, this would be along the lines with all the other cases that Russell mentioned in the motion for new trial. Remember that case we talked about? The three cases that he listed. One was Stedman versus State. I think he was the dude the child essayer, because one family member wasn't admitted in the court. I think that was the one. Then we had a Fifth Court of Appeals case that was just overturned in, I think, was that one May or January? Well, it was this year. And another one out of the 14th Court of Appeals. We had a murderer, we had a thief, and we had a child essayer. But because the trial court excluded a member of the public, guess what happened? Overturned. Back down to the trial court. Whoo, baby. Baby. This is good. That's why I love what I do. I love teaching. I love the legal field. I'm living a good life. I'm glad to be able to be in this capacity to go over these things. In whatever way I can shed light on things, that is why I'm here in my capacity. Oh my gosh. All right. So where did I leave off? Okay. So going into this, desire not to have a He was talking about his desire not to have a pretrial, because one, this hearing is to determine what evidence will be revealed or not. Worski stated that they did not want to get the bad acts or the extraneous offenses out to the public. Dewey used an example of Carmelo's text about the licking blood off the knife, and Worski and I think, okay, so Worski was saying the reason he did not want to have a pretrial hearing is because he did not want either of the parties, bad acts or extraneous offenses available to the public. Dewey then goes and says, okay, kind of like, the text message that we found at Carmelo's phone of him licking the blood off the knife. And Worski kind of agreed to that. And then Worski was like, yeah. And then he mentions the message that was sent on April 2nd, regarding from the ex-girlfriend, about Karmelo. I was like, there was no text message. I mean, there was text messages that were sent, but that text message that was sent on April 2nd was her telling Karmelo, like, hey, if you go to that track meet and talk to any other girls, we're done. Like, what? Like, why you keep going with, but even Worski even stated, he's like, we got our view, we got our point of view of how things happen, of what we got collected in our evidence, and defense have their point of view of what they collected in evidence. Now we sitting up here looking at the screen and we can clearly see the text messages, but hey, it is what it is. Let me see. I remember they could only read files there. Yep. It is details and procedures that could, it's the details and procedures that could, and that's why I was like, at the end of the day, I know Judge Chitty, we we was kind of upset at first, but I was like, I have to get out of my feelings and think as a person that works in the legal field. Like, we have to extend the same grace that he extended, for Russell to do with Shook and Mike Howard, same thing Dewey King do to whatchamacallit. So even though a lot of objections were overruled, like, it's okay. It's okay. Everything will play out. We have to let fairness be, because that's what we want. We don't want just a judge that will side. We want an impartial judge. My people, my people, my people. We can't get upset of how Judge Chitty is doing things, okay? We want a judge that is fair. We want a judge that is by the book, so that he can see exactly what was not correct. So they can see, okay, some things y'all did that y'all wasn't supposed to do. We need a judge that will look at, okay, y'all didn't put a lot of stuff on the record. We don't work like that. Okay, we want a judge like that. You're welcome. You are welcome. Shouldn't Judge Roach be reprimanded for keeping court files in his chambers and not handling I mean, the only thing we could do is we can, when it comes to that, we can only go to the the Texas Judicial Ethics Board, and we can file a complaint. I think I did a video showing that. But other than that, in the public, that's all we can do. That's all I can say. It's not like somebody's gonna say, it's not like somebody gonna be like, okay. And when I say somebody, like a Texas commission, somebody that's over the judges, it's not like they're gonna be like, okay, we're gonna reprimand you because you did this. No, it's a process, and that process includes filing a complaint. Just like if something happens, you file a complaint with the police department, okay? If you want to start a lawsuit against somebody, you file a complaint. Nothing is going to be investigated until you file a complaint. They're just not gonna go, oh, they're watching TV and they be like, oh man, he really fucked up. You can't just be like, okay, no, it don't work like that. You gotta file a complaint. When was now I was in the overflow room, so I could not see that. So I will get that information on. Oh no, that linking the text, that was 2024. I think I have that in my notes. That was 2024. Yeah, it doesn't sound right, but that's why I was like, okay, we need context to that. But I don't know. I was like, bro, was you rapping? Oh, well, like what was you doing? And yet, a girlfriend was in court with Karmelo mother, and she was sitting right beside him. Was Karmelo quoting a movie about? No, that's what I'm saying. I need context. And one thing I teach my GED students in English, in the GED English, is in order for you to make, or in order for you to draw a conclusion, a reasonable conclusion, or make an inference, you have to have context. You can't just take one sentence. I teach them, read the sentence before or the paragraph before and the sentence after or the paragraph after in order to draw a logical conclusion or make an inference. So that right there, just one text. Now I need to see the whole text thread for that whole day. What was going on? You know what I'm saying? This was some Jedi mind tricking when it came to the boy's character. Yes, please remember to, yes, y'all hit that like video. Hit that like, hype me up. There's video of the actual text messages from his phone. Can be mitigated. His girlfriend was there in the room. Some of saying it was a Roblox. Boy, the shit that be on Roblox is crazy, bro. He got a fair trial if he gets a real trial. Okay. So I mean, and Martha, thank you for being here. Yes, everybody has their opinion. Okay. From my legal perspective, I do not think that he got a fair trial. And the reason being, and this is the arguments that are being made, is that you cannot not file pre-trial documents. You can't just up and say, I'm not filing these documents. You can't just up and say, we're not having any pre-trial hearings based off of an agreement that, no, that's the whole purpose of the rules of criminal and civil procedures. If that was the case, Toby Shook could have went over there and not filed anything. Toby should, like, that's what I'm saying. Y'all can't say y'all don't understand what a fair trial is. A fair trial is ensuring that everything is done by the book, and it was not. You know how we can determine that it was not? You can go look yourself on that Collin County docket, and you don't see any pretrial hearings. You can go through the transcripts that were posted on the website, and you will see nothing on the record talking about why an overflow room was taken away after it was offered during jury trial in voir dire. That is not a fair trial. You can go read that 5th Court of Appeals case, that 14th Court of Appeals case, and that Texas Criminal Appeals case, where the exact same issues happened, where a member of the public was excluded, and they overturned and send it back down to the trial court for a new trial. So in order to have a fair trial, they have to ensure that they are doing things by the rules of procedure, civil, criminal, whatever. There's rules for a reason. There are rules for a reason. Everybody, I don't care. This is not about the crime. That is why, like I said, I'm a teacher. That's what I'm trying to get you guys to understand. We are not looking at what is done. We're not trying to say whether he's guilty, whether he's not guilty. Right now, we are saying How did his rights get violated? They got violated because they did not put stuff on the record. They did not put stuff on the docket. They gave incorrect jury instructions. They struck 3 black jurors. Like we gotta if you really want to understand the law, we can't just be picking and choosing. Now, from me, I am breaking down as to what happened on both sides. Yes, exactly. October 2024 is when that licking the blood off the knife was sent. Yeah, I had that in my notes. I just haven't got to it. Yeah, Fortnite is a whole different beast. If y'all hear my kid's so happy right now because he playing. Well, wait, what time is it? He probably up. He in there playing Fortnite right now. Some new stuff came out. Over 27 complaints have been filed on him here in Austin, Texas, with the judicial. Oh, damn. Kyle Rittenhouse was known for. Yeah, exactly, exactly. There's people right now, and it's so funny. You know, I know that this is a high profile case, but Tanner Horner out of Wise County, FedEx driver, kidnapped a 9-year-old girl, unalived her. He got sentenced, right? He filed for a motion for new trial, saying that his rights was violated. He, pretty much saying that the jury was tainted because of all of the, publicity, I want to say. So they ended up having his trial changed from Wise County to Tarrant County. I didn't see nobody talking about that. I didn't see anybody having an issue with him filing a motion for a new trial. It was a song. That's what I was trying to figure out. Oh, it was a song, girl. See? And you know, it's crazy. And I'm not saying that every culture, you know, people be like, I'm country, right? I know when to turn the countryness off. I know when to turn the slang off. You know, I know when to talk professional. You know what I'm saying? But we say things, and people don't understand what we say. They don't know what we mean. So I'm glad that you found that, because I was like, it has to be more context to that. The other day I made a post on Facebook, and I think I said you show something, and somebody like show what that means. And I'm like, I'm country. So sometimes I text like I talk, but it's not being. I know how to use proper grammar. I do it on purpose because I'm being real with y'all. It does not mean I'm uneducated, okay? But we say things and people will misinterpret what we're saying. They now have made it to where you can file complaints online. Yep. And I showed you guys how to go to the State Bar of Texas. Now that one is a little process but you can do it. And how to go submit a complaint through the Texas Code of Judicial Conduct. They have a ethics committee, and they have a form that you can fill out online and submit that for judges. I was just about to ask if they show the text as a single text. I think it was a single text. That's why everybody is taking it out of context, because it's a single text. Only Karmelo knows what he means, what's in his text, because speculation doesn't mean nothing. That's true. There's text of Karmelo trying to sell drugs for guns and pictures of him. Yeah, look. At the end of the day, stuff came out about all of them. Now, I'm going to tell you this. I am going to say this. Do I agree what was on his phone? I don't. Okay? Like I said, I monitor my kid's phone. Every parent is different. However, I feel like we are comparing apples to oranges. But I know both sides, both the prosecution and the defense did this to put this stuff out there. All right. But it was for a reason. The prosecution is saying that they didn't want to put all of this stuff out there because of security reasons. That's why they didn't file it. So the defense took the opportunity to put all the stuff out there. So I see what both sides did. All right. But don't let y'all lose fact. Don't lose sight of what the true reason of showing all of that right there. Now, once again, I don't agree with a lot of stuff that, we found on Karmelo's phone. I'm going to be honest with that. However, it's apples and oranges. We can't compare the two. We can't compare the two. They're saying they see text messages, they see videos. Was any of it acted upon? Did anybody get robbed? Did he go to jail for selling drugs? Are there any arrests regarding that? Did he get picked up for having a gun? These are things that we have to ask ourselves. Okay? Now, Martha, once again, you cool on your opinions, but tread lightly, because I do have mods and I don't do disrespect. If you want to have a decent adult conversation, do that. But don't come over here trying to rage bait, because I'll put you on the block list. The multiple selling statue. Yeah. All right. Let me get back. Let me get back. Well, why just not give Karmelo a plea deal instead? But see, that goes back to the jury instructions. Okay. Well, we have to back up. All of that is pretrial stuff. We don't know if any of that was even discussed. Okay. Now, I know they probably talked about, the charges for murder, the charges for manslaughter, and, the lesser, excuse me. But I don't know. But again, the gentleman agreement was not a deal. It was only to say, hey, we're not going to put this out to the public. That's all that gentleman's agreement was. It wasn't nothing more than that. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm just kind of skipping. Too old for Roblox, but it makes sense. Oh, baby, I'm gonna tell you this right now. I'm gonna tell you this. My oldest son is 20. My other son is 18. They're never too old, girl. Y'all just don't know. Roblox. My oldest son plays soccer on Roblox. Still by skin. So I don't think that you're ever too old. Do y'all know Roblox be having churches? They be having. I don't know. I was looking through a TikTok post and I saw a little Roblox characters having church. No, it was actually a funeral, y'all. Hey, now some of them be live though. Some of them be live. Okay. Let me see. All right. Ooh. Let me get to this. Karmelo did send texts about Austin. Now, I don't know. I didn't see that. I don't know. Oh, okay. Did not. Because I was like, I don't think he sent no text to Austin. He didn't know Austin like that. Now he saw him at a basketball game. All right. So, blah, blah, blah. Let me go back. Let me go. Blah, blah, blah. Where was I at? Okay. We talked about the pre-trial hearings. Okay. Now, Dewey Mitchell started talking about what happened during the trial. Worski, once again, keeps saying that they have been threats and they never died down. He started talking about how Mike Howard was downplaying the security threats, and he was just saying that it was harassment. That's what Mike Howard was saying. It wasn't like security threats, but it was, just harassment. But then Worski kind of made like a little slick ass comment talking about, well, you see the defense team going out with security guards and that nature. And then he started talking about how Mike Howard was at one point saying that he had an elderly person living with him and he thought he might have to go get a hotel room, in Collin County, away from his home to keep his family safe and all this other stuff. So he was just trying to make it seem like, okay, Mike Howard really downplayed it, but it was real security threats. He also claimed that there were multiple investigations, both federal and state, by federal and state law enforcement in regards to the threats, like the threats between Miss Tucker, who reduced Karmelo's bond. He said, this what Worski said, right? Worski said that they found the person who threatened Judge Tucker. He was from Utah. And because now he's saying that all these people was threatening other people from online. And I'm just like, you full of shit. But anywho's, they said that they found the man who threatened Miss Tucker. He was from Utah, and he's currently being prosecuted by the feds because they found child stuff on his computer. And I made a star by that because, baby, like, when was this? You didn't give a date. Now, all he said is he couldn't speak on it, but it's happening. Let me see. Federal charges. No, let me see. Man arrested. No, man investigated. For threatening Judge Tucker, who reduced. Because I want to see this. Reduced criminal bond. I might have to do that when whatchamacallit. Yeah, because they said she was getting death threats, y'all. I'm gonna have to do some more. Now, he said that the dude was picked up because they found child porn on his computer. So I'm gonna look at the Utah database. Oh, okay. I said Utah. I wrote Utah. Okay, Idaho, Utah. Hey, it's all up there. Thank you for correcting me. Idaho, Utah. So I'm gonna look that up. So whether it was Idaho, Utah, whatever, I'm gonna look and see if that's the case. Because my next question is, he keeps saying that there were security threats. I have not seen any reports on the news about anybody getting arrested, charged, or anything in regards to this. So why do you keep saying this? You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. I don't understand. Worski said there has been arrests. And guess who he brought up? Jake Lang. That's who he brought up. He said he had word that when Karmelo's verdict was rendered, that Jake Lang was coming in that night. And I'm not going to repeat what he said because I'm on YouTube. But he was going to unalive Karmelo. And so Worski worked with the DA to find this man and get him arrested. So I'm just like, okay, what are the other? So here's the thing. You can't speak on. So are you saying you can't speak on the other investigations because nobody has been arrested and it's still investigating, still federal state investigations going on? or you can only speak on something that happens after the fact, like when whatchamacallit is arrested. You know what I'm saying? So it does not make sense. Girl, I'm with you. I don't believe shit out of Collin County. I don't know any, and it's not even this case. This case, now I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I moved out of Collin County in 2013. Okay, because I already knew how shit was going. That they're racist as fuck over there. Some parts. But I knew something was going on. Then when I left Simon Greenstone, oh Lord, well, that was the law firm. Hell, I didn't say it now. They are the ones who represented the plaintiffs in the Greg Willis and Bill Worski harassment lawsuit, sexual harassment lawsuit. And me reading that complaint, if y'all had that opportunity to go read that, please go read that, because you will see how Bill Worski truly is. So when I see that man talk, all I hear and all I see is what those women described him to be, even men. And then from there, me digging into that, and those women ain't lying, because my best friend was the paralegal that was assisting the attorneys, Jeffrey, Simon, David Greenstone, all of them on this case. So when I looked at that, and then I was on TikTok and I tuned into Public Opinion. I think she was on one of the panels, and then she mentioned another case was Suzanne Wooten. And I was like, why does that seem so familiar? So then I go dig into Suzanne Wooten's case. She's Republican, but she was elected judge of I forgot what, I don't know if it was the 419th court in Collin County. And because she won, a man was pissed the F off, went into the DA's office, and guess who was the DA at that time? Judge Roach Daddy, John Roach Sr., was the district attorney at that time. That man was, so the man who Suzanne beat was pissed, went into the DA's office and said, I don't, whatever y'all need to do, she got to go. She pretty much stole my seat. Okay. Them people was pissed because she was a fair judge and she ran her courtroom with fairness. Okay. They did not like that. So John Roach Sr. concocted a fucking story and started investigating her. And because he couldn't take her down by himself, he went as far up as the Attorney General for the state of Texas. And guess who that was? Governor Hot Wheels. So at the time, Governor Hot Wheels was the Attorney General for the state of Texas. And both of them concocted a fucking story that diminished this lady's livelihood. They took everything from her. And the crazy part is they did not only investigate Suzanne, they investigated Greg Willis, who was going to run as the DA of Collin County. Ain't that crazy? They wanted Suzanne so bad that they concocted a story that made her lose everything. She wasn't they kicked her off the bench. They took her law license was suspended for 10 years. They took everything from that lady. I have no respect for Collin County. I have no respect for Collin County. Pardon my manners. Salute to one for thank you. And I do thank y'all for being here supporting me. Y'all, I swear I'm up. That nap this got me hype, but that nap was good. That nap was good. But yeah, and yes, they did. They settled out of the court. So the sexual harassment case settled for 1.75 million. City got to pay that. City insurance fund. With Suzanne Wooten, that happened in 2018. So in 4 years, you had a sexual harassment lawsuit that followed. I forgot how much Suzanne Wooten got, but that lady lost 10 years. That y'all the men in Collin County ain't shit. And you know what I noticed today, or over the past few days? Dewey Mitchell sitting there, Bill Worski sitting there. They had a young lady in the back and another young man. Not once did I ever see them. I don't even know why the purpose of the other two people for the prosecution was there. Now we can see Russell, we can see Mike Ware, we can see Justin Moore, we can see Sean Doridia, we can see Brooke, and we can see all of them, whispering to each other, interacting, engaging, asking questions, giving, whatever I can see, I can hear what they were doing, but you can see it on the TV screen. Worski does not have that relationship in that DA's office because of how he is. He's intimidating. He's a feminist. He's a manipulator. And if you don't do what Worski says, you will never work in the state of Texas again. And he has done that. In the sexual harassment lawsuit, a lady tried to take her life because that's how bad he got on her. Another lady said, fuck even being a prosecutor. Let me just teach classes for offenders so they can get their certificate. Do you know Worski blocked that? So if an offender had to take a class and they took a class with her and that offender submitted their certificate to Collin County, because it was this lady who used to be in the prosecution office in Collin County, they blocked the certificate saying they don't accept it. And so that offender has to go take another class. Worski did that. A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people are just going by what they see on the news. They're not looking at us independent people that's actually putting out the information out there. So when I see Worski big ass up there, I know what he's about. I know what he does. When Worski talking about he went to go visit witnesses. Bro, why? I would be scared of you. Hell, even Karmelo said he's scared of this dude. He see how you run shit. He see how you run shit. This is crazy. This is crazy. So I'm not going to put anything past anything. Yes, they faked evidence on this lady. Y'all, people don't understand. I don't care if you the Texas best lawyers for 20 years in a row, bro. You can be a good ass prosecutor, but at the end of the day, your character fucking sucks. You bullied your way to the top through intimidation. You bully people, you intimidated people. But I don't know. and for Greg Willis, like John Roach Sr. was going after your ass, investigating you, only to turn around and teach you his ways so you can be a scum ass. I don't even want to cuss. So you can do the same crooked ass shit as him. Cause I was like, well, how? I was like, does John Roach even like Junior like Greg Willis? But birds of a feather flock together, I guess. Those men in Collin County try to intimidate women, victims, defendants, parents, whoever. They don't give two flying flippers. And that's why nobody, I'm like, each year, Greg Willis has been in that seat since 2011. Nobody will go against, nobody will run against him at all. Nobody will run against this man. So it's just like you have Greg Willis and you have Bill Werski, and people are scared. And they should not feel like that. And Bill Werski, like I read in the complaint, the sexual harassment complaint, he said out his own words, the best victims, the best people to represent are the victims, because they really can't, I guess because they can't talk, they can't say shit, like they ain't got to deal with them. Like, what? This is fucking crazy. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm going off court because I just want to give y'all a context of who we working with. That's why I don't like them. A question: if there is a new trial for Karmelo, what are the chances that Karmelo testifies and a lot of background information gets heard by the jury? And can Karmelo explain bringing the knife? No. And okay, so if there is a new trial, that means they are starting over. They're starting over. They're starting over. That's all I can say. And it's going to be done the right way. In my opinion, I believe that if a new trial is granted, that they should file a change of venue and take it to Dallas County. That's all I gotta say. And then from there, I believe he will have a fair trial. I don't think that he can have a fair trial in Collin County. I don't. Dallas, 100%. Yes. No, Greg Willis, he assaulted a lot of people. And I am surprised that he is still married. I really am. I am very surprised that he is still married. Greg Willis, baby, no. If this came and I'm not even going to say alleged. Well, I mean, I got secondhand knowledge. Okay. But based off of those women, their testimonies, their depositions, that shit's true. Everything that happened, everything that was alleged in that complaint was true. They didn't want this to go to no jury trial. That's why they said, let's go ahead and settle. Let's go ahead and settle. All right. Where did I start off? Discovery. Okay. So let's talk about, so now Dewey Mitchell goes in to talk about Discovery. Werski confirmed that they found the phrase in regards to the stalking relationship. And then also when they got Discovery, they said they found that the assistant principal had a conversation with the girlfriend about what the girlfriend, told the assistant principal supposedly that morning. Now, here's the thing with that. Why would the girlfriend call the assistant principal that morning and say that she felt like Karmelo was on the verge when there's a text message that said to Karmelo after, remember, his phone died on April 1st, and then whatever text message she didn't send actually sent on April 2nd in the morning when he opened his laptop. But she sent him a text message, we're done for real. So that don't make sense to me. Worski did admit that they went to go speak to her, but it only lasted for 5 minutes because she didn't want to talk about the incident. And he said she didn't want to talk about, the criminal stuff and this and that. So yeah. Oh, and somebody who said, hey, thank y'all for listening to the TV. And right, a teenager calling the school. A teenager calling the school. Now, I'm gonna tell y'all this. My kids, they some nerds. I'm talking about like straight A nerds, right? But they ain't gonna call no school. They hate school. My kids hate school. So I don't see no teenager. I'm like, well, what was the relationship with, was she really, really cool or really, really concerned? Because my question is, if you felt like somebody was on the verge of doing something, why are you calling an assistant principal? Why aren't you why aren't you telling your mom, hey, I think something's going on with Mello, what should I do? And you would think okay, well, let me call his parents or something like that. Why would you call the assistant principal? What are we saying? What are we saying? What are we saying? It does not make a lick of sense. Let's see, where was I at? Oh yeah, and then like I was saying before, the state went out of their way to talk to the witnesses before the defense did. And Worski tried to make like he was doing the work. He was like, we kind of figured what the defense, who the witnesses will be. So, we took it upon ourselves to go out there and do all the work. So I'm like, dude, shut up. You just wanted to get to the witnesses first. And we all know what happens when his big ass get to somebody. He's trying to spin a narrative. You're trying to place intimidation. Because we all know how you are, Worski. We all know how you are. So he said that they went out of their way to talk to the witnesses through their parents. But he did say that there was one student that really didn't, I think he saw through the bullshit. I think he saw through the bullshit for real. He also stated that the kids were scared of Mike Howard and Toby Shook. They claimed that none of the kids trusted the defense. They had all their trust in Worski and his team. And he also said that the parents of those witnesses thanked him personally. I was like, nigga, what? I was like, this is crazy. This is wild. I was like, the witness parents thanked you. Like we saw, we talked about that text message that Austin sent, talk about fuck Eddie. I wonder, I know Eddie knows about this now. I wonder how he feels. I really wonder how he feels. Like, bro, somehow, some way, if any witnesses are listening, do the right thing. Do the right thing. I strongly feel like it's good that all of this information came out. But at the end of the day, a fair trial is not what this was. Especially if witnesses were intimidated. As a witness, if you feel that you was intimidated, you need to go speak to the defense counsel right now. You need to go put in an affidavit and tell your side of the story. That's all I gotta say. Dewey admitted into not admitted, but he presented the second notice of discovery. That was State's Exhibit 1. Now here's the thing. Russell objected, but I'm gonna tell you why he objected in a minute. Before Worski got into the stand, remember I told y'all Russell objected, right? Because he said, look, we filed this objection to the advocate witness. And he was saying on top of that, they didn't even tender any discovery. And Worski going to make a comment, talk about, I didn't need to, give y'all any discovery because everything is up here. He was pointing to his head. He was like, everything is up here. But then you're tendering, you're trying to get discovery. You're trying to get exhibits now entered on the record to present to the court. Why? Like, it doesn't make sense. So Russell objected, stating that the discovery was never tendered to them. But Chitty bypassed that and he said, I'll allow it. So State's Exhibit 1 was admitted, and State's Exhibit 1 again was the second notice of discovery. And I think, okay, so the second notice of discovery, that was a request. So I think the defense was requesting this discovery from the state. All right. So Worski confirms that the following discovery was handed over to the I think he's saying was received and tendered. So I have June 30th, 2025. The Austin Metcalf's iPhone and Karmelo's iPhone. January 26th, the complete criminal history of Austin Metcalf that was given over to the state. Given over to Mike Howard by the state. Also, I guess Metcalf's iCloud records. Also, the school records from Frisco ISD, containing both the Metcalfs and and Karmelo. On May 8th, 2025, 1 terabyte is a lot, was received, and it was the actual camera showing the tent where the crime occurred. Somebody enhanced it. Now here's the crazy thing that was said. They initially hired a tech out of Virginia. I don't know what happened with that one, but then Worski said he hired one that he knew personally out of Tarrant County. So I'm just like, I guess I get it, because everybody has, how can I explain it in this field? it's like people on the outside would see that it is something wrong with Worski hiring, a tech that he personally knows, but it's common. And I'm gonna give y'all an example. Well, I'm gonna give y'all an example. That's like in a personal injury case, like we go to mediation, right? We have to uh we have to get a mediator. And normally, if I'm, I guess, scheduling a mediation on a case, we have our mediators that we like to work with. Um, just recently, I proposed one of our mediators, and then they came back and says, well, we like to work with this mediator. And I was like, well, I ain't never heard of none of those mediators. Like, I don't want to go use their mediators, like what they trying to pull. But then I have to think they probably thinking the same thing. So I think, and I need to find a mediator for that case. That's why my ass needs to do some work. But I'm probably going to find a mediator that neither one of us knows to make it, comfortable, and to ensure that, our plaintiff gets a fair, hell, a fair trial on this damn personal injury case. So, but that, I just wanted to use that as an example. So it's not uncommon for both sides or either side to actually find or utilize somebody that they already know. So even though I made that note, I just thought that, everybody should know. Doo. So I guess something happened where when they got that 1 terabyte, it only showed a camera. So it showed a camera, but the other camera didn't have any, I guess it wasn't recording or whatnot. But then later on, more camera footage was revealed. Okay. Um, Let me see. Now, here's where all the juicy stuff comes in at. So Dewey then admits into the court the state's exhibit 3, which was Carmelo Anthony's Baton Rouge school district um stuff. This is where the extraneous notice, the notice of extraneous offenses, that 75-page document that Worski was talking about. Now, here's the kicker with that. I think he's making it seem like it was very, 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 very drawn out. But I'm going to be honest with y'all. There wasn't a lot of things in that Baton Rouge record. Like even Worski said himself, there was really 3 things that was listed in the 404B. So I'm just like, how did it come to 75 pages? And it's probably 3 pages, and then the rest is probably exhibits. I'm not going to lie to you guys. It is probably 3 pages, that notice of extraneous offenses, probably 3 pages, and then the rest is probably exhibits. I honestly, because like, ain't no way. That's why everybody was talking about the motion for new trial was like, I forgot how many pages, like 100 or something pages, but really 60 pages was the motion, and then the rest of it was exhibits. But he just made it sound bad. Dewey asked Worski to put his defense hat on and talk about how they could use that extraneous notice of, offenses, how a defense lawyer would use it. And he spoke about communicated and uncommunicated character. Let me see. Worski, he said, when he was reading it, he was concerned about Torres. He said it would be considered as uncommunicated character, and he wasn't worried about it. He talked about a testifying defendant is only. Oh yeah, he said a testifying defendant is only limited by their imagination. So he was talking about testifying defendant lies, some shit like that. I was like, what the fuck? Worski, what are you talking about? But he said he loves those type of defendants. So he's once again trying to make it seem like Karmelo, I would have loved for him to testify. That's crazy. Good night, good night, good night. Oh, I'm getting ready to see the world. Oh, wait, is somebody going love being here? Stay blessed, beloved. Oh, okay. I don't know if somebody went to one love went. I don't know who going to sleep. Somebody going to sleep. If y'all going to sleep, good night. Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah, Jeff probably somewhere fighting the air right now. I wonder how that foundation is going. Mm. Um um bad stuff on defendant. How can the state use it? Oh yeah, so did he ask him to put his damn dude was getting on my nerves. I ain't even gonna lie. He was saying something about bad stuff on the defendant. How can the state in this case use it? In the guilt to innocence phase, the 404B. Then he said victim character 3707. And Worski said that he ended up filing a separate for. Now he said I filed a separate 404B, which is the notice of extraneous offenses. But I'm like, bro, how you file it, but it is not on the docket? You didn't file it. And I don't think he be thinking when he be saying these things. You mean you drafted it and you handed it to the judge and you sent a copy to Mike Howard? Is that what you're talking about? But I guess he added more things to the to that notice, and what you can do, you can amend it. But to kind of go deeper into what was revealed in the Baton Rouge records, now I ain't gonna lie to y'all. This man was getting on my nerves. He was putting everybody to sleep. Um, so I was paying attention, but I wasn't, because I'm just like, what's the relevance of all this? Can we get to what we need to get to? But they was talking about records between, I guess they pulled records between 2007 all the way to 2017 from, and this is for Baton Rouge. Now they, at the age of 6, I guess he got into a little altercation. He was, I guess, being told to keep his hands to himself. Um, they said that, he used to use foul language. He had outbursts, over the years. They pretty much was saying that he had behavior problems, and they were so, um, in a sense of, these are my own terms, that they were getting out of hand, to where he had to be placed. He enrolled into an LSU program, and was placed on like a psychic behavioral plan. I'm like, okay. Dewey asked Worski if he would have enjoyed, and now this ain't verbatim. This is kind of me paraphrasing, but Dewey asked Worski, would he have enjoyed, asking Kayla, if she moved to Texas to kind of run from, Karmelo's behavior problems? I'm like, wait, what? Are you serious? Are you fucking kidding me? Why would you ask a mother that? Like, y'all act like, and I hate that this was even said. They act like black people do not want the best for their kids. I read those transcripts of, people like Rob Starr or Jacob Redman, people that weren't that aren't originally from here, you know what I'm saying? And they'd be like, well, what's the reason of you moving to Frisco? And some people say come for a better life, da 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 da. So you're saying that Kayla and her husband couldn't take their family and move to Frisco for a better life? You know what I'm saying? They see, okay, there are kids. I've worked with at-risk youth. That was one of my first teaching jobs. And for a parent to see, okay, this environment is not good, let's move here. And they moved to Frisco, Texas. The same reason you ask why other people, why coaches and other people, the experts, the criminalists, all of them, you ask them why they work in Frisco ISD, why they work at Frisco Police Department, because they wanted a better life. They wanted to move their family. So Kayla couldn't do that. Drew and Kayla couldn't move their family to Frisco, Texas for a better life. This is crazy. All right. So they made that shit. But then they was like, well, we ain't gonna get too much in the records. That, you know why you ain't getting too much into the records? Because that's all the records. Like there's nothing extensive that you can get into with those school records. Then they transitioned to the notes in Karmelo's phone. So, overall, they talked about how, he had some questionable notes, when they talk about weapons, some racist rants, so on and so forth. They talked about, I guess, one, I don't know if this is a note or if this is a text, 2021, of him punching a little girl in the face. Oh no, he talked about it. He didn't do it. He talked about it. Let me correct myself. Um, they said 2021. It seems like he had an obsession with fighting. Um, he got jumped at one time because he called somebody a bitch, and then he said it again. Um, I guess there was notes or texts or something that included some type of racist rants about black people, white people, Mexicans. This was 2023. Going back to they said that he threatened a 12-year-old boy in 2021, telling him that he was going to get a pew pew, and he got suspended for 3 days. And they said that he came back from suspension bragging about he was being suspended. Mind you, this is all that's coming out from Worski and Lord Dewey Mitchell. They also brought up 2023, he made a comment or a joke about airing the school out. Y'all know what that means. Read in between the lines. 2024, he removed the plates from his dad's car to go commit crimes. I'm like, okay, what crimes were committed? I don't see any arrest appoints, reports, no incident reports. They talked about him carrying weapons. The picture of the rifle in 2024 talked about. He also, I think, in 2025 he was talking about an AK and a Glock and all that other stuff. Okay, they're pictures. They talked about it. No, what was that? Yesterday or the day before? Or it's 1:33. Wednesday or Thursday. You said when y'all looked through Austin's phone, you said it's just stuff that he's 17. And I'm like, well, Karmelo is 17, right? And then come to find out, Austin had all of that stuff in his phone. But he's 17, right? This Austin acted on some things. But we've also seen Austin and Hunter with a rifle. Like make it make sense. You know what I'm saying? Um, they saying that there was text about uh violence against women. Now these are their words, but he texts his girlfriend how many pew pew or how many bullets. I'm just gonna say it. How many bullets you want coming out of your chest? Now I don't know what that means. Somebody said it means sexual. I'm just like, wait, what? But once again, I need context. I can't speak on nothing when I don't have no context to nothing. Like they said these things, and I understand because again, the defense did what they did. Now the state is doing what the defense did, and Worski actually said it. He's like, "Well, y'all got to do it yesterday, so we doing what y'all did." That's exactly what it said. But they're trying to show you guys why, once again, none of this was put in on the docket, so nobody can pull this stuff and give it to the public, because then that really would have been tainted the jury pool, as they say. Yeah, so they talked about a lot of stuff. Him threatening his girlfriend, all this, and the October incident about the licking of the blood and all this other stuff. Um, and then lastly, after all that said and done, Worski was like, "We gave up all of this in order to do an agreement." That's what he said. He said, we gave up revealing all of this. We gave up not introducing none of this for this agreement. No, he said not the club. It was a school. That's what he said. But that's impregnating a person. Yeah, because somebody said, I was like, ooh, this new terminology, baby. I was like, what they be talking about? I didn't see no videos of him in the state. Like, even though they mention it, we didn't see it. Now this here, I can now see. I wasn't in the main courtroom, so there was periods where the TV's cut off in the overflow room. But I did confirm. I did confirm with my friend that was in the main courtroom that said yes, he choked out his mom. And the crazy thing is, my friend looked at the mom, and Meg just put her hands in her like her head in her hands, and she was just shaking her head. Like she can't believe that shit just was said. Uh huh. No, you know what? This right here. Now, here's the thing. Based off of what I can see from the video, like I can see the shape of a text box on there. So they do have pictures of the text. Now I wasn't in the main courtroom, so I could not see if they no, they actually did put it on the screen. So it's proof that it's there, but I don't think they have the whole text thread to show the context in which these things were actually said. Yes, one of the twins choked out their damn mama. And Austin recorded, I think it was Austin, and Austin made a video saying he'll slap the fuck out of his daddy. Oh Lord Jesus. Then they also putting it out there, there was text about drugs use and holding a gun. They're all making that stuff it's killing me. It's killing me. All right, so let's bypass all that. Let's go to the jury selections. They really didn't elaborate on the three the black potential jurors that were struck during jury selection because they are on their stance. The crazy thing is, Worski claimed like earlier that he was like, look, that jury was diverse. He said it was well diverse. Let me say it that way. He claimed that he thought that the jury was well diverse. I'm like, you are you looking at the same jury that we are looking at? I didn't see no diversity. I didn't see no diversity. And if y'all think, and once again that goes back out, I'm gonna make my little public service announcement. Y'all get y'all ass out there and vote. When you get that little jury card, go out there. They will pay you to be a juror. Okay, shit. Go. There's no reason, and I feel bad now because I be trying to dodge jury. I ain't even gonna say trying. I dodge it. I be like, I work for an attorney. I got too much work to do. I can't be doing no jury. What you call it? But now I see how important it is. I really see how important it is to at least go try. To at least go try. You know what I'm saying? Let's see. Worski stated that he didn't have any issue to allow, a lesser charge of manslaughter and add, the sudden passion part of that. All right, so Russell comes in, but before that, Russell say, "Yo, and y'all, he the way I'm saying this, he ain't actually say. Y'all know this man is very sophisticated, but Russell was like, yo." How much longer you gonna allow Worski to go on and on and on? Because baby, I'm telling y'all now, people was laid back in their chair sleep. I ain't even gonna lie to y'all. I was like, until I had to go pick up my baby, I was like, I would. Now I didn't fall asleep, but I know I dozed off for about a quick second because that's how boring Worski was. But some people, I think somebody woke themselves up snoring too loud. I was cracking up. I was cracking the fuck up. But so Russell was like, yo, how much longer is this going to be? And the judge did confirm. He was like, hey, I know that we are approaching, the deadline, the 75-day deadline, which ends on technically tomorrow because the day is technically Saturday. But he confirmed that he will allow, Russell to, do what he needs to do. All right. He will give him the time to do that. Russell asked Worski, if there were any Waller rulings on the record during Melo's trial. Worski stated that there are none. Because mind you, we got to go back. We got to go back. The Waller means what the record shows. What did the record show about the overflow room? What did the record show about pretrial hearings? What did the record show about the filings, pretrial file? Like, what did the record show? But when we come to the Waller, we're talking about this overflow room. You took it away. Well, let me keep it going. Let me stop. I'm gonna keep going. He asked if any Waller rulings was on the record during the trial. Worski said no. He also asked Worski, like, whether district court proceedings can be sealed. Worski said he didn't know. Now I just showed y'all Yellow Beezy case. All you got to do is file a motion to seal. And you telling me of all the years that you have been an attorney, you don't know if any proceedings can be sealed. That's a lie. That's a lie. You knew, you just didn't do it. Because that's the proper way to do it. And that was my thinking the whole time I was in there. If you wanted to protect, if you did not want information to get out about the bad acts, if you wanted to protect the witnesses who were minors, there is something called a motion to seal. You can file a motion for a protective order. Y'all did none of those. Y'all did none of those. And somebody said listening to lies are exhausting. Girl, I got to the point I started laughing. I know I couldn't have been in the main courtroom because I would have got kicked the fuck out. And Christopher King was sitting there too. I was like, baby, I would have been gone. They probably would have kicked me out the courthouse because I was flabbergasted. Where was we at? Blah, 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 blah. Russell, oh yeah, check this out. So shortly after Russell Wilson was retained as, the appeals attorney, he asked Worski to put the gentleman's agreement in writing. Worski pretty said, "You must think I'm Boo Boo the Fool." I think that Worski said, Worski said, I ain't stupid. I'm not stupid. I'm not about to do that. And guess what? He didn't do it either. Now, the biggest thing is Russell asked this man, how many gentleman agreements have you made like this in your legal career? This man said he has made about 10 gentleman agreements. And I'm like, well, what other cases have you been involved in to where you have railroaded people a right to a fair trial? This right there, that should even open a fucking investigation. Because what? So in your lifetime, now I know that may not seem like a lot, but one is too many. You have made 10 over the course of your legal career, something like this. That is wild. That is wild. Now, they went into closing arguments. The judge allowed 20 minutes for each of each side to do their closing. Oh, excuse me. Oh yeah, baby. I'm about to clear back up in this bed. The prosecutor, so Robert Cole, he's the appellate for the state. They discussed the Waller issue. He pretty much said that there was no issue with Waller because the court wasn't closed. Mind you guys, there have been I keep saying Supreme, there have been appeals cases where the appeals court have overturned because even one member of the public, if they are denied access, that is a violation. That's an issue. You have an overflow room for jury selection. You took it away. You then make a comment post trial in an interview and stated, well, I should have had audio at least in the overflow room or something along those lines. So you're saying that there was an alternative and you never went on record to even say why you took it away. That is a Waller issue. But yet, Mr. Robert the state appeals attorney stated that there were no Waller issues because it wasn't a closed court. All right. He went on to state that the courtroom had, 24 seats, which was full of members of the media. And he stated that Melo's original defense team waived any complaint, pretty much saying that, like, hey, they didn't complain. They didn't say anything was wrong. They didn't object to anything. Well, how are you going to object to anything if there wasn't shit on record? Nobody ever went on record and say, okay, I am taking the overflow room away. You didn't give the defense an opportunity to say, hey, well, can you please have an overflow room and have at least the same thing that Russell did for us to be here today, right? It did not happen. So how are you going? But anyways, that's the state appeals. He the one who said that there wasn't no Waller. The defense didn't waive. They waived any complaints. But how can you waive a complaint when nothing was on the record about the closing of an overflow room? But that's neither here nor there. Worski, big ass, pretty much said, there ain't much more to say about this gentleman's agreement. And he just encouraged for Judge Chitty to kind of look at the record. Okay, look at what record? What record are we looking at? The gentleman's agreement ain't in there. I'm pretty sure now the motion for limine that Mike Howard drafted in the notice of extraneous events, occurrences or acts. Hell, I'm getting sleepy. Hell, I'm talking out my ass at this point. Now those are in the record because we're talking about them now. But you have to go back. Like, we're going to say, well, look at the record. I mean, like, if we look at this, thank you. Good night. Good night. Good night. Good night. Sleep tight, y'all. I'm about to finish up here, baby, because I'm about to be knocked out. But how you gonna encourage the judge? Like, if Judge Chitty is by the record, hopefully he can look at this record and see that they didn't do things as they should have. Russell Wilson introduced the Waller flowchart to explain that switching from having an overflow room during jury selection to not having one in trial, that triggers Waller. That triggered Waller. He also said that, if we look at Judge Roach's post-trial interview, he mentioned that he could have allowed audio in an overflow room, but didn't want influencers to twist what they heard. That is wild. That is wild. There was no waiver, nothing on record regarding the overflow room. And because of that, that triggered Waller. That is an error. He also discussed how the gentleman's agreement ultimately impacted Melo's ability to testify on his own behalf. Toby Shook and Mike Howard anticipated for that baby to get on that stand and testify. But like I said, the state and the defense had two totally different views on what the defendant was going to do according to that gentleman's agreement. In my opinion, that agreement should have never, ever been taken into account by the defense. They shouldn't have. But everything played out for a reason. It's Saturday. I am going to stay alert as soon as I get any type of notification on Judge Chitty's decision and his ruling on that motion. I'm going to go live and we're going to talk about it. But that's all I have. That's all we ended with today. I know emotions was high, and I don't know if I said this, but his decision is going to be sent. That ruling, that signed order, whether he denies it, whether he grants it, is going to go through our Texas e-file system. I'm hoping, because that's how you're supposed to do it, not just by email. And I'm glad that he's doing it at least on a Saturday, on a weekend when nobody's at the courthouse, because however this goes, people are going to be upset. If he gets a new trial, folks are going to get upset. If he doesn't get a new trial, folks are going to be upset. So to limit the commotion, he said, okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to issue this on a weekend. And that's totally fine with me. I think that's in the best interest of all parties, to be honest. But however this plays out, okay, and when I say whatever, I mean if it gets denied, I want y'all to still remain optimistic in the sense that there is still a whole appeals process that's happening simultaneously. This is just the pro. Remember, I broke it down. We got CAR 1, the post-trial route, and we got CAR 2, the appeals route. They're both driving in the same direction. But if CAR 1 breaks down, that's okay. We can get in CAR 2 and we can take off to our destination. Okay? But there's a valuable lesson to be learned from all of this. It's a valuable lesson. We got to get out there and vote. We got to get out there and become jurors, when the time calls. We get it. If you want to know how you can help your community, you can start there. Because we got to get, some of these people do not deserve to be in office. And the only way we can get them out is if we do our part. And that's all I got to say. Yes, I hate that it happened this way, but as I talked to somebody today, and one thing, shout out to everybody who came up to me at the courthouse. Like it's I don't do this. I don't even know how to say this, but it means a lot. It really does, for people to be like, I watched you yesterday. I'm like, I'm not trying to be on here to have 100K subscribers or followers or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? I do this so I can educate and I can communicate, and I can learn from y'all too. You know what I'm saying? We're forever learning. But thank y'all for those who show me love. Thank those who sent Zelle, sent Cash Apps, sent encouraging messages, came up to me to the courthouse, thank y'all for all of that. It really, this right here was, I think, the first time that I ever, like, I'm used to going out and protesting and stuff in that nature, but like really, really digging deep into trials such as this has been an emotional roller coaster since April of 2025, to be honest. So as I said it before, y'all remain hopeful. If you pray, remain optimistic. If it does not, if he doesn't get a new trial, that's okay. We still got the appeals route. Okay, we still got that route. But thank y'all for tuning in. I'm going to go ahead and shut it down. Y'all are awesome. Definitely like this video. Hype it up. If you have questions, definitely put them in the comments. When I wake up in the morning, I will reply to them. Just make sure your notifications are set, so if I do get word on the ruling, I can go live and you guys can tune in. Okay, but definitely hit that like button before y'all go out, And that's all. Good night. Sleep tight. And I'll catch y'all in the next one. Bye, y'all.